They say life's a gamble, a roll of the dice. Well, I played, and I won, big. But not in the way you'd expect. Not in the way they show it on TV, with confetti and screaming and flashing lights. No, mine was a quieter win, a secret victory tucked away in my worn leather wallet, nestled amongst faded photographs and crumpled receipts. It was a lottery ticket, crumpled itself, almost discarded, a forgotten hope. Until that night. Remember that feeling, that sickening lurch in your stomach when something monumental happens? The air thickens, your breath catches, that was me. Staring at those numbers, my own trembling hand clutching the ticket, a cold sweat prickling my skin. The numbers matched. Every single one. Millions. Millions of dollars. It felt surreal, a cruel joke, a glitch in the matrix. The initial shock gave way to a chilling clarity. Tell them? My family? My so-called loved ones? The thought sent a shiver down my spine, colder than the winter wind rattling the windows of my modest home. No. Absolutely not. This wasn't just money, it was a test. A test I was about to administer, a test that would reveal the true nature of those around me, those I'd always believed were my kin. The weight of that decision, that secret, settled on my shoulders, a heavy cloak I would wear for years to come. This wasn't just about the money, this was about justice, about revealing the truth hidden beneath years of smiles and polite pleasantries. And the game, my friends, had only just begun. I, your seemingly ordinary narrator, held a power few could comprehend, a power I would wield with surgical precision. My family, a tapestry woven with threads of expectation, resentment, and unspoken grievances. My son, Mark, always the golden boy, the one who seemed to effortlessly glide through life, never truly appreciating the sacrifices made for his success. His entitled smirk, a constant reminder of the chasm growing between us. He always wanted more, always reaching for something beyond his grasp, blind to the hand that had lifted him. And then there's my daughter, Sarah. The quiet one, the observer, always lurking in the shadows, her eyes holding a sadness I couldn't quite decipher. She never asked for much, but the little she did ask for often felt like a demand, a weight on my already burdened soul. There was a quiet desperation in her gaze, a silent plea for connection that I, in my own blindness, had failed to recognize. Their mother, a different story altogether. Years of silent battles, unspoken words hanging heavy in the air like the cloying scent of lilies in a stuffy room. Her perfume, once a symbol of our youthful romance, now felt like a suffocating reminder of a love long gone, replaced by a cold indifference that chilled me to the bone. The silence between us was deafening, a constant, agonizing hum that vibrated through our shared past. The house, once a sanctuary, had become a battleground of half-truths and simmering resentments. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the curtains, felt like an accusation, a reminder of the fractured bonds holding us together. And I, the silent observer, the keeper of the secret, was about to watch it all unravel. The seeds of doubt, carefully sown over the years, were about to blossom into a bitter harvest. The time had come. The first test. It had to be subtle, almost insignificant, a seemingly minor request that would reveal the true colors of those I called family. I needed a favor, a small task that would expose their willingness to help, their willingness to sacrifice even a sliver of their time for their own father. It was a test of loyalty, a carefully crafted probe into the depths of their character. I chose Mark first. The golden boy, basking in the glow of his perceived achievements. The request was simple. I needed help moving some old furniture, a few heavy pieces from the attic. Nothing strenuous, just a few hours of work. The response, however, was anything but simple. His dismissive wave, the curt excuse about a prior engagement, a golf game, naturally, spoke volumes. The casual cruelty of his refusal echoed in the silence that followed, a silence heavier than any argument. It was a cold slap in the face, a confirmation of my deepest suspicions. The entitlement, the lack of empathy, it was sickening. Then Sarah. My quiet daughter, the one who always seemed to understand, or so I thought. Her response was different, hesitant, filled with a mixture of reluctance and concern. She agreed, but her acceptance felt burdened, weighed down by other obligations, other commitments. It wasn't the enthusiastic support I'd secretly hoped for, but it was something. A flicker of hope in the gathering darkness, a fragile candle in the wind. The test had yielded its first results, leaving me with a bitter taste in my mouth and a growing sense of foreboding. The game was far from over. The stakes were higher than I had ever imagined. Mark's refusal wasn't just a refusal to help, it was a rejection of me. A blatant disregard for the years of sacrifice, the countless hours spent working to provide him with a life he seemed determined to squander. He cited his busy schedule, a carefully constructed excuse masking his utter lack of interest. "Dad," he'd said, his voice dripping with a casual cruelty that sliced through me. "I'm swamped. Got a big golf tournament this weekend. Can't possibly spare the time." A golf tournament. The audacity. The sheer, unadulterated nerve of it all. His words hung in the air, thick with the stench of entitlement and self-importance. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was, struggling with the weight of a secret fortune, needing only a few hours of help from my own son, and he couldn't be bothered. His priorities were clear: leisure, self-aggrandizement, anything but his aging father. I watched him leave, his expensive golf clubs gleaming in the sunlight, a stark contrast to the worn furniture gathering dust in the attic. The image burned itself into my memory, the polished gleam of his clubs against the faded wood, a symbol of the chasm that separated us, the gulf of indifference that had swallowed our relationship whole. His careless words, his dismissive gesture, they were the final straw. The bitter taste of betrayal filled my mouth, acrid and suffocating. The carefully constructed facade of family unity crumbled before my eyes, revealing the cold, hard truth: I was alone. And that realization, more than anything, fueled my simmering rage, hardening my resolve to exact my own kind of justice. This wasn't just about a few pieces of furniture. It was about a lifetime of neglect, a lifetime of unspoken resentments finally coming to a head. The game had just gotten a whole lot more interesting. The foundation upon which I'd built my life, the family I'd cherished, was crumbling. Brick by brick, the carefully constructed walls were dissolving into dust, revealing the hollowness at its core. The silence in the house was deafening, a stark contrast to the boisterous laughter that once filled these rooms. Now, only the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall marked the passage of time, each tick a hammer blow against the remnants of my shattered illusions. Mark's refusal wasn't just a single act of selfishness, it was a culmination of years of unspoken resentments, a lifetime of missed opportunities for connection. And Sarah, her hesitant agreement, her burdened compliance, it wasn't genuine support, it was a hollow gesture, a performance of familial duty. Was this what family truly meant? A collection of individuals bound by blood, yet separated by a chasm of indifference? The bitter truth was a pill too hard to swallow. The weight of this realization pressed down on me, heavy and suffocating. I found myself staring at old photographs, the faded images of happier times mocking my current despair. Their smiles, once beacons of warmth and joy, now seemed like cruel reminders of a past that was irrevocably lost. The faces in those pictures were strangers, masked by the artifice of family tradition. The veneer of love and affection had worn thin, exposing the raw, unyielding selfishness beneath. The question gnawed at me: was it all a lie? Had I been living a delusion, mistaking obligation for genuine affection? The answer, cold and stark, echoed in the emptiness of my heart. The seeds of doubt had grown into a poisonous vine, strangling the very essence of my family. And I, the unwitting gardener, was left to tend the wreckage. The unexpected kindness came from an unexpected source: Mrs. Rodriguez, the elderly woman who lived across the street. I barely knew her, a fleeting wave across the lawn, a polite nod in passing. Yet she was the one who saw me struggling, who noticed the weariness etched onto my face, the deep lines of disappointment etched around my eyes. She didn't pry, didn't offer platitudes. Instead, she simply appeared on my doorstep one evening, a steaming pot of her famous chili in hand, a warm smile softening her weathered face. The aroma alone was a balm to my wounded soul, a comforting embrace in the chilling emptiness of my home. We sat on my porch, the scent of chili mingling with the cool night air, and she listened. Not with the forced politeness of a neighborly obligation, but with a genuine empathy that cut through my carefully constructed defenses. She didn't offer solutions, didn't try to fix my problems. She simply listened, her presence a quiet beacon of understanding in the storm of my betrayal. It was a small act, an almost insignificant gesture, yet it resonated with a power that shattered the cynicism that had taken root in my heart. Her kindness was a stark contrast to the cold indifference of my own family. It was a reminder that genuine human connection existed outside the confines of blood ties, a testament to the enduring power of empathy and compassion. Mrs. Rodriguez's unexpected act of kindness became a turning point, a reaffirmation of my faith in humanity, albeit a fragile and bittersweet one. It fueled my resolve, sharpening the focus of my plan, turning my bitterness into a potent force. It was a stark reminder that loyalty wasn't defined by blood, but by the unwavering support of the heart. And I knew, with a chilling certainty, that I would repay both her kindness and my family's betrayal. The seed of revenge had been planted, nurtured by years of neglect and the recent sting of betrayal. Now, it was time to cultivate the harvest. My plan wasn't born of rage, it was forged in the crucible of disappointment, tempered by a cold, calculating logic. It wasn't about inflicting pain, it was about restoring balance, about exposing the hypocrisy and entitlement that had poisoned my family. This wasn't a knee-jerk reaction, this was a meticulously crafted symphony of justice. I began by gathering information, discreetly, subtly. Years of accumulated financial records, property deeds, even seemingly insignificant details, each piece of the puzzle meticulously collected, catalogued, and analyzed. The internet became my silent accomplice, a vast ocean of data providing the ammunition for my carefully planned assault. I learned about Mark's mounting debts, his reckless spending habits, his increasingly desperate attempts to maintain his opulent lifestyle. I uncovered Sarah's simmering resentment, her secret dreams stifled by years of subservience to her husband's whims. The pieces began to fall into place, forming a pattern of arrogance and self-deception. My actions were deliberate, each step calculated to maximize impact. There would be no impulsive outbursts, no emotional tantrums. This would be a precise, surgical strike, aimed at the very heart of their carefully constructed illusions. The lottery winnings, once a symbol of hope and escape, became the instrument of my retribution. The bitter taste of betrayal fueled my resolve, sharpening my focus, and transforming my quiet grief into a potent force. The game was on. And I was playing to win. The first subtle shift was almost imperceptible. A new car, understated but undeniably luxurious, replaced my aging sedan. A casual mention of a lucrative investment. A vague but intriguing reference to a successful venture. I let the whispers circulate, allowing the seeds of speculation to take root. My family, blinded by their own self-interests, failed to notice the quiet transformation. They saw the superficial changes, the new car, the slightly more expensive clothes, but they missed the underlying shift in power dynamics. The blindness of entitlement is a powerful force, I soon learned. Then came the renovations. The old, dilapidated house, a testament to years of neglect, was slowly but surely being transformed. The work was done discreetly, the contractors hired through carefully chosen intermediaries. The upgrades were subtle, tasteful, yet unmistakable signs of wealth. New windows reflecting the sunlight, a meticulously crafted garden replacing the overgrown weeds, a sense of quiet elegance permeating the space. It wasn't ostentatious, it was a silent declaration of power. A subtle shift in the balance of the family dynamic. My family, accustomed to a life of financial struggle, began to notice the changes. Their curiosity, initially muted by their own arrogance, slowly morphed into blatant interest. Requests for small loans, veiled hints about financial difficulties, attempts to casually gauge my new financial status, all carefully orchestrated attempts to tap into my newfound wealth. Their greed, once hidden beneath a veneer of familial affection, was now laid bare, raw and unsettling. Their hunger for my resources was palpable, a desperate grasping for a lifeline they hadn't earned. And I watched patiently, letting them dig their own graves. The stage was set. The game was about to begin. Mark was the first target. His arrogance was a shield, his entitlement a weapon. He was the one who had so readily dismissed my request for help, the one who had shown such blatant disregard for the man who had raised him. His downfall wouldn't be violent. It would be a slow, agonizing unraveling, a carefully orchestrated exposure of his hypocrisy. It started subtly. Anonymous tips to the IRS, meticulously documented evidence of his financial improprieties, carefully placed information leading to an investigation. The wheels of justice, once slow and cumbersome, now turned with surprising speed. I watched as the carefully constructed facade of his life began to crumble. The panicked phone calls, the desperate attempts to cover his tracks, the frantic search for solutions, all played out before my eyes. The smug confidence that had once been so irritating was now replaced by a desperate fear, a chilling realization of his vulnerability. The opulent lifestyle he had so readily embraced was slipping through his fingers like sand. The expensive cars, the lavish vacations, the extravagant displays of wealth, all threatened to disappear. His desperation was a bitter symphony, a testament to the corrosive power of unchecked ambition. It was a stark contrast to the quiet dignity of Mrs. Rodriguez, her simple act of kindness a beacon in the darkness of my family's self-destruction. Mark's downfall was not a personal victory. It was a demonstration of the consequences of his actions, a stark warning to the others who had betrayed me. The first domino had fallen, and the others were watching, nervously, anxiously awaiting their turn. The game was far from over. Mark's downfall was not a silent affair. His desperate attempts to salvage his situation created a ripple effect, a tremor that shook the foundations of the family's carefully constructed reality. Sarah, initially hesitant to become involved, found herself caught in the crossfire, her own carefully guarded secrets threatened with exposure. The comfortable facade of their marriage, already strained by years of unspoken resentments, began to crack under the pressure. Their arguments, once hushed whispers, now erupted into bitter, public displays of anger and recrimination. The whispers started, fueled by Mark's desperate attempts to shift blame, to find a scapegoat for his failures. His accusations, laced with venom and desperation, painted Sarah as an accomplice, a conspirator in his financial schemes. The truth, of course, was far more nuanced, far more complex. But in the maelstrom of their crumbling world, nuance was lost, swallowed whole by the tide of accusations and counter-accusations. The family gatherings, once occasions of strained politeness, now resembled battlefields, each interaction fraught with tension, each word carefully chosen, each glance carrying a hidden meaning. The simmering resentments, long suppressed, boiled over, exposing the deep-seated flaws and betrayals that had festered beneath the surface for years. My own quiet observation became a form of grim satisfaction, a dark pleasure in watching the disintegration of a family built on lies and hypocrisy. The bitter taste of revenge was intoxicating, a heady mixture of justice and retribution. The conflict escalated, the stakes rose, and I watched patiently as the carefully constructed walls of their world crumbled around them. Mrs. Rodriguez, my quiet, unassuming neighbor, became an unexpected ally. Her role was subtle, almost invisible, yet crucial to my plan. She wasn't involved in the direct actions, the legal maneuvering, or the financial machinations. Her contribution was far more profound. She provided a quiet sanctuary, a place of refuge from the storm I had unleashed. Her simple act of listening, of offering a cup of tea and a sympathetic ear, was a balm to my soul, a reminder of the genuine kindness that had been so conspicuously absent from my family. Her quiet wisdom, honed by years of observing the complexities of human nature, proved invaluable. She offered guidance, not through direct intervention, but through subtle suggestions, carefully chosen words, and a profound understanding of the human psyche. She helped me navigate the treacherous waters of my revenge, reminding me of the importance of precision and control, of the subtle art of letting consequences unfold naturally. Her presence was a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding within my family, a testament to the power of genuine human connection. She represented the unwavering loyalty and kindness that my family had so readily discarded, a quiet beacon of hope in the midst of the storm. Her role, seemingly insignificant on the surface, was in fact crucial, a testament to the unexpected alliances that can form in the face of betrayal and the profound impact of simple acts of kindness. It was a subtle reminder that true loyalty transcends blood ties. The time had come. The carefully orchestrated chaos had reached its crescendo. The family, fractured and reeling, was gathered not by choice, but by circumstance. Their faces, etched with a mixture of fear and resentment, were a testament to the unraveling of their carefully constructed lives. I watched them, their expressions a mixture of confusion and apprehension, as I began to speak. My voice, calm and measured, cut through the tense silence. The words tumbled out, each one a carefully placed stone, building a wall of truth that would shatter their illusions. I spoke of the lottery ticket, the millions I had won, the secret I had guarded for so long. Their reactions were immediate, visceral. Shock, disbelief, anger, and a desperate scramble for explanations. Their expressions were a mirror reflecting their own hypocrisy, their own betrayal. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the occasional gasp or whispered expletive. The carefully constructed facades crumbled, revealing the raw, ugly truth of their motivations. Their greed, their selfishness, their utter lack of empathy, all laid bare for the world to see. The millions I had won, intended as a tool for revenge, had become a mirror reflecting their own moral bankruptcy. The truth, stark and undeniable, hung heavy in the air, a suffocating blanket of guilt and shame. The game was far from over, but the first act of justice was complete. The unmasking had begun. The air crackled with unspoken accusations, the silence punctuated only by the ragged breaths of my family. Their faces, once masks of casual indifference, now displayed a raw, desperate vulnerability. This was it, the final confrontation, the culmination of months of meticulous planning, of calculated moves and subtle manipulations. I surveyed them, my gaze lingering on each face, each betraying a flicker of fear or regret. My voice, devoid of emotion, cut through the tension. I laid bare the truth, not just the lottery win, but the deeper betrayals, the unspoken resentments, the calculated selfishness that had poisoned our relationships for years. I spoke of their greed, their hypocrisy, their callous disregard for anything beyond their own desires. The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of years of unspoken pain and simmering resentment. I detailed my plan, step by painstaking step, revealing how I had used their own avarice against them, how I had orchestrated their downfall. The shock was palpable, their attempts at denial clumsy and unconvincing. There were tears, pleas, and accusations, but I remained impassive, a silent observer of their unraveling. In that moment, I felt a profound sense of satisfaction, not from the pain I inflicted, but from the restoration of balance, from the exposure of their true selves. Justice, cold and precise, had been served. The final confrontation was over. The aftermath was a stark landscape of shattered relationships and broken dreams. Mark, stripped of his ill-gotten gains and his carefully constructed image, vanished, leaving behind a trail of debt and disillusionment. Sarah, initially hesitant in her complicity, ultimately paid the price for her wavering loyalty, ostracized by both sides of the conflict, left alone to confront the consequences of her choices. The others, each in their own way, faced the repercussions of their actions, a bitter harvest of their own sowing. My own feelings were complex, a strange mixture of satisfaction and emptiness. The justice I sought had been served, yet the victory felt hollow, tainted by the knowledge of the damage inflicted, the lives irrevocably altered. The weight of my actions settled upon me, a heavy cloak of responsibility. Had I gone too far? Was this the kind of justice I truly desired? The questions lingered, unanswered, a constant undercurrent to the quiet satisfaction of retribution. The silence that followed was not the peaceful quiet of resolution, but a heavy stillness, pregnant with the echoes of betrayal and the lingering scent of regret. The house, once filled with the strained harmonies of a dysfunctional family, now stood empty, a monument to the wreckage of shattered dreams and broken bonds. The lottery win, once a symbol of hope, had become a bitter reminder of the corrosive nature of greed and the inescapable consequences of betrayal. The bitter taste of justice lingered, a stark and unsettling reminder that some wounds, no matter how meticulously planned the remedy, leave scars that never truly heal. The dust settled, leaving behind a wreckage of relationships and a profound sense of emptiness. Had I truly achieved justice? Or had I simply traded one kind of pain for another? The satisfaction I felt was fleeting, overshadowed by a growing unease. The millions I had won, the meticulous plan, the calculated revenge, all seemed insignificant in the face of the profound loneliness that now enveloped me. The silence in the house was deafening, a stark contrast to the cacophony of accusations and recriminations that had preceded it. The bitter taste of victory was tinged with regret. The cost of my revenge was far greater than I had anticipated. I had exposed their hypocrisy, shattered their illusions, but in doing so, I had also destroyed something irreplaceable, something that could never be recovered. The family I had known, flawed as it was gone, replaced by a void, a chilling emptiness that echoed the hollowness of my triumph. Perhaps true justice lies not in retribution, but in forgiveness, a concept that now seemed both unattainable and utterly necessary. The weight of my actions pressed down on me, a heavy burden I was left to carry alone. Was this the legacy I wanted to leave behind? The question hung in the air, unanswered, a haunting echo in the silence. The lottery win, the betrayal, the revenge, all of it served to illuminate the complex and often contradictory nature of family. Blood ties, I discovered, are not always a guarantee of loyalty, nor does shared history always translate into genuine connection. The bonds that truly matter are forged not in the crucible of shared genetics, but in the fires of shared experience, mutual respect, and unwavering support. My actions, though driven by a desire for justice, ultimately highlighted the fragility of these bonds, the ease with which they can be broken, and the enduring pain of their fracture. My neighbor, a stranger by blood, proved to be a truer kin than those bound to me by birthright. Her quiet kindness, her simple act of sharing a meal, spoke volumes about the true meaning of family, a meaning far removed from the selfish machinations and calculated betrayals that had consumed my own kin. Perhaps the greatest lesson learned was the profound understanding that family is not merely a biological construct, but a tapestry woven from threads of loyalty, compassion, and unwavering support, a tapestry easily frayed by greed and selfishness, and far more difficult to mend. The emptiness I feel is not merely the absence of my family, but the absence of the genuine connections I so desperately craved. The bitter irony is that in seeking justice, I destroyed the very thing I sought to protect. This is the true cost of revenge, a price paid not only by those who are wronged but also by the one who seeks to right the wrongs. So, there you have it. The story of a lottery win, a family betrayed, and a revenge meticulously planned and executed. But was it justice? Or merely a Pyrrhic victory, a hollow triumph achieved at a devastating cost? The question lingers, a bitter echo in the silence that follows the storm. I exposed their hypocrisy, their greed, their callous disregard for others. I brought them down, but in doing so, I also destroyed something irreplaceable, the illusion, perhaps, but still a potent force, of family. The irony is not lost on me. The millions I won, meant to bring happiness and security, instead fueled a fire of resentment and ultimately led to ruin. Perhaps the true lesson lies not in the power of money or the satisfaction of revenge, but in the enduring strength, or perhaps the heartbreaking fragility, of human connection. Was it worth it? The answer remains elusive, a haunting question that will likely accompany me for the rest of my days. The silence in this empty house is a constant reminder of the choices I made, the consequences I faced, and the lingering questions that refused to be answered. The wind whispers through the empty rooms, a mournful dirge for a family lost, a testament to the bitter truth that some wounds, no matter how carefully tended, never truly heal. And perhaps, That is the most profound justice of all.